So what's up with this basket in the sky? That tends to be the question on everyone's lips recently when they meet me as an astrologer. So I decided that in celebration of this great alignment of some outer planets and Jupiter's activation, I will dedicate this video to Barbault's basket and explain where the name comes from, which planets are involved, and why this might be significant for you on a personal level and also definitely on a collective level. So I hope that's something that you will enjoy, and if you do so, please remember to like and subscribe to my channel so that we can grow together, and let's just dive right into it. So speaking about this basket, I think it would be in its right place to introduce to you the very influential French astrologer André Barbault, who devoted his life to study long cycles of the planets and the relationship to world events. So he was kind of obsessed, wrote over 40 books about astrology, and spent a lifetime just researching and focusing on how world astrology correlated with different of the outer planets' positions, and I found that very fascinating because he was one of the pioneers behind mundane astrology. So that's a branch of astrology studies that focus on civilizations and politics and collective movements, and then looking at how this history unfolds itself on the different planetary cycles. He was trained in astrology already from a very early age by his older brother, and he spent just decades researching the slow-moving outer planets, which in itself is a special field of work, I would say. His work also transformed modern mundane astrology, and he just wrote tons of books that still are the foundational text for this part of astrology today. There was something very significant in his work that pointed out that in the second half of the 2020s, the world would undergo a massive change. And what is being called Barbault's basket today was not a name that he used himself. It's a name that were sort of subscribed to him much later on, and in the recent many videos and content that I see here on YouTube and other platforms about this specific basket that I will go into just in a minute. But I think it's very interesting how we can see that in this year in July, a few days away from when I record this video, we will have a very interesting now named basket that will definitely be what I can see as well, a transformational doorway into maybe even a new world order, definitely a new level of consciousness and ways of being human on this earth. But let's take a look at the planets involved in this basket and have a little look at the famous 4 degrees. So if you're someone curious about astrology, I would really recommend for you to check your own birth chart and see if you have any planets or specific angles placed around 3, 4, or 5 degrees, because these are the ones that will be highly activated at this moment in time. But let's begin with looking at Jupiter. So we can see that Jupiter has recently entered Leo, and it will remain here for about a year. And in astrology, Jupiter is a benefic planet and is associated with expansion, opportunity, growth, luck, wisdom, meaning, everything of higher educational matters, and it is also known to just amplify whatever it touches. So in that sense, if there are some difficulties as well, they will be amplified by Jupiter's light, just because, even if it's benefic, because Jupiter has this encouraging effect and asks us to broaden our horizons and go a step beyond what we thought to be our limitations. In Leo, in the sign of Leo, expansion becomes very creative. So Leo is asking us to express ourselves more authentically. Leo is also ruled by the sun. It's the bringing yourself out on the stage and lead from your heart, create and develop your confidence, and be good with becoming visible as well. It's not about so much seeking recognition or this, very traditional way of watching Leo as the one that loves to be in the limelight. It's more about having the courage to embody who you truly are and not compromise on that one. And we can see that directly opposite of Jupiter, we have Pluto. Pluto is in retrograde in Aquarius, and Pluto is a planet of just profound transformation, the planet of the underworld. It tends to strip away everything that is no longer authentic so that something more real can emerge from beneath that. It's also associated, with the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's not always comfortable when Pluto is involved, because it does not allow you to only work on surface level change. It's really like burn it all down to the ground kind of vibe and then rise again. Whereas being in the sign of Aquarius, it's connected with the collective, like humanity in general, our technology and innovation and communities. Also in general, just the future of humanity. So now we can already start to paint a picture of what's going on right now, because Pluto will continue its very long journey through Aquarius. So collectively we are rethinking the systems that we belong to and the communities we identify with, and maybe even our relationship to technology and power. On an individual level, I would say it has the ability to transform our sense of belonging and our role in this world. In general, like think of things like your legacy. What do you want to leave this world with? How can you, on a personal level, leave the world just a little bit better than when you entered? On top of that, you can see we have Neptune lining up in this party of 4 degrees, and Neptune is also in retrograde at this moment in time. It is in the sign of Aries, and it's very fascinating because Neptune has only recently entered Aries after spending just about 14 years in Pisces. So Pisces is the ruling sign of Neptune, so you can imagine how it had really felt at home there. And Neptune, tend to dissolve boundaries that has to do with spirituality, imagination, all the unseen worlds, our dream world, our intuition, and also, the different dimensions of life that are not accessible to our 5 senses. When it was in Pisces, there was a lot of this energy that was internal. It has like this flavor of being a mystical time where you saw a lot of people talking about consciousness and spirituality. It also came along with the rise of social media, starting in 2011 with Neptune moving into Pisces, where throughout these years, if you think about the world before, it wasn't really that normal with all these talks about, spiritual journeys, shadow work, the unseen worlds, everything, but it spread in very Piscean way without boundaries through the connection we have through the internet and social media. And it's interesting because now the times are changing. When Neptune entered Aries this year, there is a complete new expression needed, because after a certain while having Neptune in Pisces, it can become all too dreamy and not so much action, not so much embodiment. And when Neptune moved into Aries as the first sign in the zodiac, it wants to initiate, act, pioneer. So it's almost like it's talking about us after being on a hermit mode spiritual journey for about 14 years to say, okay, collective, what did you actually learn on this journey, and are you capable of embodying it down on earth so that you in your everyday way of being can actually be influential in a positive way and not just stay dreamy up there on a ayahuasca trip or whatever it is that people might have gone on, because there's a collective need for grounding and not just staying, hermiting away. And it's like it's very easy. There's a Buddhist saying about this, is also very easy to stay enlightened when you stay alone on a mountaintop, but can you stay enlightened when you are down in your normal life and engaging with other people? That's one of the things that Aries definitely ask us to do. So I'm very passionate about this, but I'll try to keep it shorter. And then I will just also say finally about Neptune that since it's in retrograde, we are kind of invited to see if we can revisit old dreams, maybe some passions that we forgot about, something that we would really like to see embodied and born into this world. So perhaps we were not so ready to pursue it before. We kept a little bit like fluffy around it, but now as a humanity and on a personal level as well, it's time to initiate, it's time to get that fire burning. And then finally we have the fourth participant in this party of the basket, which is Uranus, and Uranus is in Gemini. And Uranus is a great awakener. It's in many ways also deeply connected to thunder, electricity, even our nervous system. It's almost as if Uranus has this tendency to send wave shocks through humanity as a collective, through amping up the resonance, the human resonance, and in that way through frequency, wake us up. And being home in the sign of Gemini and being happy with Gemini, it's like two very good friends are meeting at a bar and they are so ready to revolutionize things. So we are in for a ride with Uranus here, that wants to disrupt all the established patterns. Is the person that walks into the room of convention and keeps asking why until everyone gets like crazy annoyed because Uranus wants to create new things and bring breakthroughs and liberation, innovation, and also sometimes very unexpected, fast-paced, swift change. When we have Gemini that governs communication, language, learning, information, and the way that we think, you can easily visualize how those two will have the ability to profoundly change humanity as we know it today, community as we know it today, the way that we communicate as we know it today. There's a really radical atmosphere, very revolutionary atmosphere, a flavor. You can sense it. You can sense that there's something just beneath the surface that has been working for some time and now it's really being electrified. It's almost as if you have sensed for a long time that something is changing, but you could not put a finger on what it is. Well, Uranus in Gemini is in the house, and now it's after this basket activation, this will start to become more visible in what direction we are going as a collective and on a personal level. Just to sum it up, I would say that if we think about Jupiter, that is, amplifying everything that it touches, being in Leo right now, there is an activation of Jupiter that comes in and starts the conversation between Pluto and Neptune and Uranus. And it's almost as if expansion are meeting transformation. So we will see vision meet innovation. We will see personal creativity that then meets collective evolution. And I think it's one of the things that we could ask ourselves at this moment in time is, can we stay open and receptive to the current moment and presence of what's coming in for us? and try to not box ourselves too much into one category. Can we be open for change on multiple dimensions in our lives at once? Can we be okay with not knowing exactly how they will be revolutionized? And at the same time, can we stay grounded and anchored into our hearts? Because I think this is very important. It's very important for me to emphasize that Jupiter in Leo is very heart-based. It's very, you know, there are these fascinating studies about us having kind of brain-like cells in our heart, but the fact is that the electromagnetic field of the heart expands outside of our body. So it's almost as if we become the magnet to this change, and we just have to trust what we magnetize to us in the moment is the right thing. So I think that is something that you can take in about this basket. That's my take on it. And all this great change is an activational point in time. It doesn't happen all at once. It's astrology as well. Even we can do all these predictions and we can see that something very, very rare and unique is happening in the sky, but we can never say exactly what is going to happen, because that also depends of the current consciousness within each individual and what we are ready to receive. So with my take on Barbault's basket, I really hope that it gave you something. I hope it gave you some perspectives on how to see these 3 outer planets as well and understand them a little bit better in the job, and start to feel excited about the incoming change, and trust that if you're feeling these undercurrents of something is changing, trust that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and by staying anchored in your heart, you will reap great benefits from these new activations towards the end of July 2026. And if you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment below as well, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye for now.